Chapter 7394. Father, they're at the initial celestial stage. Bai Qingli furrowed her brows. It was rare to see such a powerful cultivator in the chaotic celestial realm. If they had offended such a powerful cultivator, they would definitely remember it very clearly. However, when she thought about all the enemies she had made over the years, she could not find such a powerful cultivator. As for the fact that someone would pay such a high price to hire a powerful cultivator at the initial celestial stage to deal with them, she did not think it was possible. To hire a powerful cultivator at the initial celestial stage was not a small price to pay. Furthermore, judging from the fluctuations of their auras, it was likely that there was more than one person at the initial celestial stage in their group. As far as she knew, no one would be able to hire such a powerful cultivator. I don't think I've ever offended such an enemy. Bai Ziyuan was a little flustered. Such a powerful opponent was clearly trying to destroy the city governor's mansion. City Governor Bai, there's no need to think so much. We'll find out once we've captured them and interrogated them. Mo Yunjue curled the corners of his lips into a disdainful sneer. His eyes, which were as deep as a black hole, were cold and merciless. He then attacked his opponent with an awe-inspiring aura. Bang bang bang. Shocking waves of energy erupted from the battle. The entire courtyard was instantly turned into a pile of rubble. The city governor's mansion had always thought that its defenses were pretty good. However, under such circumstances, they could not withstand a single blow. Bai Ziyuan had even warned everyone not to enter the mansion. The difference between their cultivation levels was too great. Entering the mansion would only result in death. Boom! Bai Ziyuan was sent flying with a single punch from his opponent. Father! Bai Qingli cried out in shock. She no longer cared about fighting her opponent, and quickly rushed to Bai Ziyuan's side. Bai Ziyuan groaned and spat out a mouthful of blood. His face turned pale. 3 initial celestial stage cultivators. What kind of grudge do you have against me? Bai Ziyuan's voice trembled. His eyes were filled with shame and anger. He could not understand what he had done to deserve such a calamity. Go to hell. The man charged forward. His cold and grim face was filled with murderous intent. Qingli, get out of the way. Bai Ziyuan's eyes narrowed when he noticed the man's attack. He instinctively pushed Bai Qingli away. Father! Bai Qingli's reaction speed was also extremely fast, and she immediately blocked with her sword. Even though this attack managed to block the man's attack a little, his opponent's cultivation was far higher than his. This block was only for a short moment before he was sent flying. Bang! Mo Yunjue's body was like lightning. Just as the man's sure kill attack was about to land on Bai Ziyuan's body, he unleashed his speed to the maximum. A huge force exploded from his feet and kicked the man away. The man felt a sharp pain in his waist, and the attack deviated from its original trajectory. Bai Ziyuan originally thought that he was going to die, but after noticing that Mo Yunjue had blocked the attack, he let out a sigh of relief. He finally managed to keep his life. Bai Qingli hurried over and asked, Father, are you all right? I'm fine. Bai Ziyuan shook his head and looked at Mo Yunjue. It's all thanks to young Master Mo for saving me. City Governor Bai, you'll take care of the Radiant Sun cultivators. As for the initial celestial stage cultivators, we'll take care of them. Hearing this, Bai Ziyuan was slightly shaken. He could not help but feel a little worried. However, when he noticed that Zhongli Mu was forcing his opponent to retreat, he understood what was going on. Then I'll have to trouble you, young Master Mo. Under these circumstances, if he hesitated, he would only make things more troublesome and become a burden. Chapter 7395. Mo Yunjue and the other 2 moved like the wind, and their attacks were fierce and powerful. The originally arrogant opponent's expressions immediately changed when they realized that the 3's combat strength was not inferior to theirs, and was even slightly higher than theirs. Big brother, something is wrong. Didn't they say that there is only one elementary celestial in the city governor's mansion? The man was being pushed back by Zhongli Mu. Although Zhongli Mu had not broken through to the 1st grade, his physical strength was extraordinary. On the other hand, the man had just stepped into the elementary celestial stage. He thought it would be a good job to besiege the city governor's mansion in the chaotic celestial realm. He thought he could make a contribution without any effort. Who would have thought that the situation would turn out like this? It was completely different from what he had expected. Even though they had only fought for a short while, his internal organs had been severely injured. If this continued, it would only be a matter of time before he was defeated. The man's face turned pale. He recalled the situation when he first came in. Apparently, Bai Ziyuan was sending the three of them away. If they had waited for the three of them to leave, everything would have gone smoothly. He regretted it now. Why was he so unlucky? The man looked at Mo Yunjue and said, "Young master, what happened just now was our fault. If you leave now, we will pretend that nothing happened. What do you think?" In his opinion, the guy in front of him was more difficult to deal with than the man, who had an extremely strong physical body. Although Zhongli Mu's attacks were fierce, he could still resist for a while. However, the man's attacks were not sloppy at all. Every attack was aimed at his vital points. Although he looked casual, every attack was dangerous. If he was careless, he would lose his life. After a short while, the man's back was covered in cold sweat. He was sure that the man in front of him was extraordinary. His combat strength was amazing. Since there was no enmity between them, it was better not to become enemies. It is easier to invite the devil in than to send him away. Have you heard of this sentence? Mo Yunjue's face was cold. There was no change in his expression. His attacks were getting fiercer and fiercer. You wanted to kill us just now. Now you want to negotiate with us. Do you think we are fools? Zhongli Mu sneered. The man's face turned pale. When he was about to speak, Zhongli Mu said, "I have been wandering in the chaotic celestial realm for a long time. No one has ever escaped from me. Today, all of you will die here." Arrogant. The man was angered. His attacks became fiercer. "Where are you from in the celestial realm? How dare you act so arrogantly in the chaotic celestial realm? Do you think we are from there?" He was sure that they were not from the chaotic celestial realm. As a matter of fact, cultivators in the elementary celestial stage would not stay in the realm of chaos. Once they made a breakthrough, they would head to the realm of chaos as soon as possible. Only from the celestial stage were from the celestial realm. Immortal region? Mo Yunjue's gaze became unfathomable. "You're from the immortal region?" Bai Ziyuan's expression changed when he heard this. He had never offended anyone in the immortal realm. It was too strange for the other party to appear out of nowhere. "Are you looking for the wrong people? I don't know you." "Cut the crap. We're looking for you." The man attacked with all his strength. He knew that it was almost impossible for him to win easily with his strength. The only way was to fight to the death. Zhongli Mu did not plan to fight to the death. As long as he took them by surprise, he might succeed. Chapter 7396. Noticing Bai Ziyuan's confused look, Mo Yunjue understood that he really didn't know. He immediately said, "City Lord Bai, don't worry. Once I control them, you'll be able to get the answer." "Thank you, young Master Mo." Bai Ziyuan thanked him, and his attacks became even fiercer. If he couldn't figure out who his opponent was from the immortal region, he would probably not be able to eat or sleep in peace. Bai Qingli's eyes were filled with coldness. He wasn't a match for an elementary immortal, but other than that, the others weren't his match. This time, he had Mo Yunjue and the other two's help. As for the others, he wouldn't let a single one of them go. Bang bang bang. The sword in Bai Qingli's hand flickered continuously, and one figure after another fell to the ground, no longer making a sound. Zhongli Mu noticed Bai Qingli's straightforward appearance, and a trace of interest appeared in his eyes. "Big brother Mo, how about we compete in speed and see who's faster?" "Why not?" Mo Yunjue said. Yi Sun chuckled. "These three guys have persisted for long enough. I think the cultivators in the immortal region aren't that strong, so let's not waste time." "You're courting death." Hearing the humiliation in the three's words, the three men couldn't bear it anymore, and their combat strength immediately increased by a level. However, Mo Yunjue and the other two's attacks changed. They didn't use fancy martial arts, and were all close combat skills. As the young master of the Heaven Slaughter Tower, Mo Yunjue had always been best at using the simplest methods to take people's lives. His moves were never fancy, but they were terrifyingly simple. Sparring was never suitable for him. because he would always use a killing move when he attacked. Swoosh! The sharp sword flew past, bringing with it a pillar of blood. Mo Yunjue's back was facing the man, and he calmly withdrew his sword. Bang! The man fell to the ground with a loud bang, and the sword cut his throat, and there was no more sound. You're actually the fastest again. Zhong Limu had a helpless look on his face. Almost every time he competed with Mo Yunjue in speed, he had never won. Mo Yunjue looked at the depressed Zhong Limu and said, "Remember to leave one alive. Don't let them all die. This kind of thing doesn't suit me." Zhong Limu pulled his sword out of the man's vitals and looked at Yi Sun. "Yi Sun, remember to leave him alive." Yi Sun looked at the two of them helplessly. "No way. I'm last again? Who else could it be?" Zhong Limu chuckled. "Don't forget the old rules." "Understood." When Bai Ziyuan saw how Mo Yunjue and the other two dealt with their opponents in a joking manner, he couldn't help but sigh in admiration. Strength was the foundation of a cultivator. Yi Sun quickly grabbed one of them and threw him in front of Bai Ziyuan before saying, "Now, you can confess honestly." "Who sent you?" Bai Ziyuan asked. The man looked at the fallen people, then looked at the few people who questioned him, and his expression became abnormally ugly. "Don't think of getting anything out of me. I won't say anything. You're really arrogant. You're already in our hands, yet you're still so arrogant. Do you really think we have no way to deal with you?" Zhong Limu took out a dagger and stabbed the man's body. "If you don't speak, I'll stab you bit by bit. Don't worry, I promise I won't take your life so easily. I've practiced this move for a long time, and I don't usually have a chance to use it. It's rare that I can use it today." Chapter 7397. The man couldn't help but shiver when he saw Zhong Limu's excited expression. Although this guy was the youngest, he was extremely ruthless. He could decide a person's life and death with a single joke. He couldn't help but feel regret. If he had known earlier, he would have died earlier. Now he was simply living a life worse than death. Falling into the hands of these people meant that he would be humiliated before he died. How painful was that? "We won't make things difficult for you. You just need to tell us who sent you, and we'll consider letting you live. How about it?" said Yi Sun. The man hesitated, and his eyes were filled with suspicion. "Don't think I'm an idiot. You won't let me go. You'll have to think about that yourself." Mo Yunjue's expression was indifferent. "Although you tell us who's behind this, and they might cause trouble for you. That's in the future. But if you don't tell us, you'll be in great trouble right now. Will you really let me go if I tell you? You have no right to negotiate with me." Seeing this, the man hesitated for a moment and seemed to have made up his mind. "If you're heartless, then I won't be righteous. Fine, I'll tell you." Everyone raised their brows. They didn't quite understand what he meant. "We came from Qingpeng continent. Qing Devil's subordinates sent us a commission." Speaking of this, anger appeared on the man's face. "It's already very embarrassing that people from the immortal region came to mess things up. Who would have thought that they even gave us the wrong information and caused all of our people to die here?" The men rambled on for a long time, but Mo Yunjue's expression changed when he heard the words Qing Devil. "Qing Devil?" Bai Ziyuan was confused. "I don't know Qing Devil. Are you sure you didn't get the wrong person? You're the city lord of Shiyin City." "I am." "Then there's no mistake," said the man. Bai Ziyuan was dumbfounded. He wondered if it was an enemy from a long time ago, who'd gone to the immortal region after becoming strong, and now sent people to deal with him. However, no matter how he thought about it, he was unable to figure out exactly what he'd offended. Even if he'd gone to the immortal domain, he shouldn't have changed his name, right? It was only then that Yi Sun noticed Mo Yunjue's silence. He couldn't help but ask, "Yunjue, do you know something?" Mo Yunjue raised his head and looked at Bai Ziyuan with a complicated expression. "Governor Bai, you don't have to think about it. You don't know this person." Bai Ziyuan was stunned, but he quickly understood. "Are they looking for revenge? It's our old enemy. I just didn't expect him to find us so quickly and even implicate you." Mo Yunjue had an apologetic look on his face. "City Lord Bai, we've let you down." Bai Ziyuan heaved a sigh of relief, and then his expression became complicated. No wonder Child D and the others asked me about the Qing devil when they heard about it. I didn't take it to heart, and just thought they wanted to know more about it. I didn't expect them to have such a deep hatred for each other. Since the Qing devil has found us now, won't it be dangerous in the future? Mo Yunjue hurriedly looked at the man. Have you heard about the Qing devil and the immortal domain? The immortal domain. The man shook his head. I don't know about that. I only heard that the Qing devil was seriously injured last time, and has been in a coma ever since. Chapter 7398. Mo Yunjue frowned. He was almost certain that the Qing devil's injury had something to do with Bailey Hongzhuang. However, since the other party did not know about the process, he naturally did not know about the current situation of Hongzhuang and the others. Brother Mo, is the Qing devil's sister Hongzhuang's enemy? Zhong Limu's face darkened. They are so despicable that they even wanted to harm the city lord. How shameless is this guy? Zhong Limu's face was filled with disbelief. Not only him, but when Bai Ziyuan and the others heard this, their eyes couldn't help but be filled with confusion. Is there really someone so despicable? Mo Yunjue nodded slightly. The Qing devil is not a kind person. I knew that he was a terrible person, but I did not expect him to be so terrible. Once upon a time, the Qing devil was also famous in the immortal realm. I did not expect him to be such a person. He really did not live up to his reputation. Bai Ziyuan shook his head. He recalled the admiration he had when he first heard about the Qing devil's reputation, and felt that he was blind. Such a person was not worthy of anyone's admiration at all. He was a complete scumbag, who did not even have the bottom line of a cultivator. Yi Sun also looked worried. I knew that the Qing devil was not a good person, but from what he did, I am worried that young Master D and the others will be in danger. What should we do? Bai Qingli was very worried. Offending such a despicable guy will probably cause a lot of trouble. I only hope that young Master D and the others are fine. Mo Yunjue calmed himself down and said in a deep voice, they should be fine. He believed in Beichen's strength. Even if the Qing devil was really strong, they should be able to escape as long as they seized the opportunity. Everyone looked at Mo Yunjue's complicated expression and understood that the situation was not very optimistic. Di Beichen and Bailey Hongzhuang had broken through to the elementary celestial realm, but the others hadn't. The Qing devil must have done a lot of homework for her revenge. It was impossible for her to be unprepared. Once he set up an ambush, it would not be easy to leave. Yi Sun's gaze also changed slightly, but it did not fluctuate much. What kind of person was Di Beichen? It would not be easy for the people of the immortal realm to take his life. Young Master Mo, you don't have to worry too much. At this moment, Bai Qingli also understood. If Qing devil really killed Di Gongzi and the others, I think he doesn't need to go through so much trouble to deal with us. He should have already investigated the relationship between our city lord's mansion and young Master D. If young Master D dies, the possibility of us taking revenge is almost zero. He doesn't have to go through all this trouble. Zhong Limu's eyes lit up. That's right. The reason why he spent so much effort must be because he failed. Young Master Bai, you are really smart. Zhong Limu let out a sigh of relief and couldn't help but praise. Bai Qingli smiled slightly. Young Master D and the others are all people with great fortune. I believe that they will be able to turn misfortune into blessing. Thank you for your kind words. Mo Yunjue's expression did not change. Let's wait here for a few days. If there is still no news, we will have to go to the crossing immortal realm to take a look. Okay. Mo Yunjue looked at Bai Ziyuan again. City Lord Bai, we have implicated you today. We will be responsible for all the losses caused. However, they did not succeed this time. I'm afraid they will not stop here. Chapter 7399. As soon as these words came out, everyone's expression became extremely complicated. That's true. Zhong Limu frowned. The people sent by the Qing devil are all experts in the immortal realm. Therefore, we can't leave this place. Otherwise, if they send more people, the city lord's mansion will be. Bai Ziyuan's expression also became abnormally ugly. This was definitely not good news for him. An enemy from the immortal domain was enough to cause the City Lord mansion to be annihilated. Not to mention that the other party had a considerable influence in the immortal domain. This time they were lucky. If Mo Yunjue and the others had not come, they would have been finished. Yunjue, I don't think we can leave just like this. We have to be responsible, Yi Sun said. If young Master D and the others were here, they would have made the same decision. This happened because of them. If they chose to leave at this time, it would be tantamount to letting the entire City Lord's mansion die with them. Mo Yunjue frowned. This was indeed a big problem for them. Could this be the Qing Devil's purpose? In this case, they had to stay here, and could not leave at all. This is indeed very troublesome. Unless we kill the Qing Devil, this trouble can't be solved at all. Bai Ziyuan did not speak, but his eyes were full of hope. If they did not choose to stay, he could only think of a way to move. Staying here was tantamount to waiting for death. The Qing Devil will be killed by us sooner or later. A warm and pleasant voice slowly sounded from outside the courtyard, followed by a series of footsteps. Hearing this familiar voice, Mo Yunjue and the others had a look of surprise and uncertainty on their faces. After seeing who it was, this uncertainty turned into a smile. I knew you guys were lucky. You'll be fine. Mo Yunjue's lips curled into a rare smile. His usually cold face was tinged with a trace of gentleness. You came back much faster than I expected. Of course, we can't let you down, Bewitching said with a faint smile. Big brother D, you're back. That's great. Zhongli Mu was overjoyed. We were just worried about your safety. We won't lose our lives so easily. Xiren said proudly. Qing Devil was seriously injured last time. It's a pity that I didn't kill him directly. However, this is only a matter of time. Sooner or later, he will die in our hands. Shangguan Yingying and the others looked at Xiren's complacent appearance and couldn't help but sigh in their hearts. This guy had completely forgotten how he looked when he was beaten up. The misery at that time was simply unbearable for them to recall. Young Master D, it's great that you're back. City Lord Bai smiled. I didn't expect you guys to really make it to the crossing immortal domain. It's truly amazing. These were the words that came from the bottom of his heart. According to his knowledge, it was absolutely not easy to head to the celestial region. Previously, when he found out about this matter, he felt that it was impossible. However, it was obvious that the other party had made up his mind to do it, so he did not say anything. He did not expect that it would actually succeed, which was really beyond his expectations. Nowadays, the young people were much more powerful than he thought. Perhaps it should be said that Di Beichen's group had created a lot of miracles. Just like the Array Master competition, it also made people's jaws drop. Chapter 7402. Bai Qingli understood that this was for their safety. She nodded and said, I understand. After you leave, my father and I will leave the City Lord's mansion for a while. We will come back when everything is settled. As the City Lord of Xian City, Bai Ziyuan had built his foundation here for so many years. He could not leave this place forever and think that he was safe. Fortunately, leaving for a short time was not a problem. As a cultivator, it was normal for him to go into seclusion or train. Even if he left for a few years, there would not be any major changes. Moreover, he was so familiar with Xian City. If something really happened, someone would inform him. City Lord Bai, we are sorry for what we did to you. Di Beichin bowed and said, we will send someone back to pass on the message once we have taken care of everything. Bai Ziyuan waved his hand and said with a faint smile, it's fine. It's just a few years. It's not a big deal. You, on the other hand, must be careful when you go to the immortal region. He had thought it through. Although Di Beichin and the others caused the Qing Devil incident, it had already happened. Whether he liked it or not, it was a fact that could not be changed. However, Di Beichin and the others were genius cultivators. They had successfully broken through to the elementary immortal stage in a short time after coming to the chaotic immortal realm. They might have a better future after they went to the immortal region. He believed that as long as they did not die in the immortal region, they would definitely become important figures in the future. When that time came, if he encountered a disaster, they would not leave him alone. The friendship of a group of future powerhouses was very precious. City Lord Bai and Bai Ziyuan's attitude made everyone feel much better. They were completely implicated in the entire incident. It was not easy for them to have such a forgiving attitude. This made them feel that they could not let them down. "All right." Bai Ziyuan raised his eyebrows and said, "If this is the case here, will Qingyang City be affected as well?" Bewitching had been developing in Shiyin City since he came to the crossing immortal domain. However, he was quite close to the city lord of Qingyang City. Since the Qing devil was so crazy to attack them, he might attack Qingyang City as well. "That's true." Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes flickered. "I think we still have to make a trip to Qingyang City. If there's nothing else, it's best to let them leave for the time being to lie low." Once they understood the problem, they immediately set off for Qingyang City, without caring about the situation in Shiyin City. "Boss, you guys go first. I'll go check on the Immortal Treasure Pavilion." Standing outside the door, Gong Jun pondered for a moment. He still couldn't let go of the Immortal Treasure Pavilion. When he left the Immortal Treasure Pavilion, he left the Immortal Treasure Pavilion in the hands of trustworthy people. Back then, the Myriad Treasure Pavilion was suppressed by the Immortal Treasure Pavilion to the point that they couldn't raise their heads. Now that so much time had passed, he didn't know if the situation had changed. Most importantly, he felt that if even the City Lord's mansion had been attacked like this, then the Immortal Treasure Pavilion would probably be in even more trouble. Hearing this, everyone had different expressions. They looked at Gong Jun with complicated expressions. "Okay, then we'll go first. You can meet up with us when the time comes," said Bewitching. "I'll go with Gong Jun, don't worry." Bai Ziyuan walked over. "If there really is someone there, we can escape." Chapter 7403. Thank you, City Lord Bai. "No problem." Before leaving, when Xiren walked in front of Gong Jun and patted him on the shoulder. "Gong Jun, my condolences." "Scram." "Fine, I'll scram." When Xiren quickly ran out and said with a sigh, "A dog biting Lu Dongbin," not recognizing the kindness of others. "Gong Jun has really changed." "How did he change?" Zhongli Mu asked. When Xiren shrugged, "I was just comforting him. Think about it. The City Lord's mansion is already in such a state. How can the Immortal Treasure Pavilion still be around? I bet there's nothing left of it, but he still doesn't appreciate it. I bet he's still holding a grudge against me for cheating him of his cultivation resources." Bai Lianche rolled his eyes. "You know that Gong Jun cares about the Immortal Treasure Pavilion the most, yet you still say such things to provoke him. You're lucky if you don't get beaten to death." "He wants to beat me, but he's not strong enough to do so," Xiren said proudly. Bewitching glanced at the smug Wen Xiren and mercilessly poured cold water on him. Gong Jun has already sensed the barrier to the elementary immortal stage. He's not far from breaking through. Cough cough. Xiren almost choked on his own saliva. He then looked at Bewitching in disbelief. "How is this possible? He's been looking after the store every day. He doesn't have time to cultivate." Bai Lianche stepped forward and put one hand on Xiren's arm. "Xiren, you've known Gong Jun for so long. Don't you realize that he's a genius?" "Genius? What genius?" Xiren was confused. He didn't realize it at all. Gong Jun has put most of his energy into business, but his cultivation speed hasn't lagged behind us. It was a good thing that his ambition was not to cultivate. Just like this, he was about to break through to the elementary immortal realm. If he put all his focus on cultivation, think about it, what realm would he be at now? Bai Lianche shook his head. "Actually, I noticed it long ago. I asked him before, and he said that if he focused on cultivation, he might be stronger than Beichin now. However, he did say that he felt that it would be fine as long as he didn't hold the cultivators back. He still preferred doing business. Look at him, he's just casually practicing. Look at him, he's just casually practicing." Bailey Yinch's words lingered in Wen Xiren's mind like a demon's voice, lingering for a long time. He had always felt that Gong Jun was the weakest in their team, and that he had a sense of superiority in front of him. Who would have thought that it was not the case at all? Could it be that he was the weakest in the team? Bailey Hongzhuang and the others looked at Xiren, who was like a frosted eggplant, and raised their eyebrows slightly. Could it be that when Xiren was really defeated? This guy was always lively, and did not seem like someone who would be defeated so easily. However, Bai Lianche was not talking nonsense. Gong Jun was indeed about to break through. This guy did not take this to heart. The reason why he mentioned it was because Bewitching was worried about Gong Jun's situation after he went to the immortal realm. Under such circumstances, Gong Jun mentioned that he was about to break through. If there were no accidents, he would be able to break through before he went to the immortal realm. Bai Lianche also happened to hear this news at that time. This was indeed good news for everyone. At least in this way, their overall strength would be stronger by a level. Little Xuanzi had not broken through yet, and Little Blossom was also a level away. One more elementary immortal was of great significance. Chapter 7404. Zhongli, don't you think I'm too weak? When Xiren had a defeated look on his face. Normally, he had already suffered a terrible blow. Beichen and Hongzhuang were not humans. Their cultivation speed was not something ordinary people could compare to. He had long since given up on the idea of competing with them. As for Yanche and Ling, one of them was a beast king, and the other was a dragon. Naturally, their cultivation talent was not to be underestimated. According to Beichen, Yanche and Linger's cultivation speed would be even faster after breaking through to the elementary celestial stage. This was because the Beast clan had a greater advantage in tempering their bodies. These guys couldn't compare. He didn't want to compare at all. But now even Gong Jun was stronger than him. How could he still live like this? It's all right. Zhongli Mu thought for a moment and said, actually, it's because we're all geniuses. Think about it. I was much stronger than Beichen. In the end, they broke through to the elementary celestial stage, but I haven't. Only then did when Xiren feel a little relieved. Indeed, these were not normal people, and could not be compared to him. Then what is your cultivation level now? I broke through to the elementary celestial stage a while ago. F*CK. That hurts. Xiren left Zhongli Mu. This guy is so young. But he has broken through to the elementary celestial stage. What a beast. Back then, he didn't know who had told him that the elementary celestial stage was an insurmountable hurdle for cultivators. If one wanted to break through, it would take at least a decade or a few decades. It was simply impossible. However, how long had it been since they came to the chaotic celestial realm? 1, 2, 3, 4. All of them had broken through. He looked at Mo Yunjue. There was no need to say anything. This guy was only second to Beichen. Yingying. Shangguan Yingying did not mock Xiren. She only said, don't worry. You'll break through soon. I know my wife loves me the most. Xiren was touched. Qingyang City. When Yang Han saw that Di Beichen and his group had returned, a look of pleasant surprise appeared on his face. Young Master Di, you are back? Did your trip go well? Di Beichen nodded. Not bad. You guys really went to the crossing celestial domain. How admirable. City Lord Yang, we came here today to discuss something with you. Di Beichen went straight to the point. Seeing Yang Han, he understood that the Qing Devil City hadn't discovered the situation in the mansion of the governor of Xi'an City. However, he couldn't be sure whether the Qing Devil's men didn't intend to attack this place, or they were too slow to come here. No matter what, it was best to be prepared early. Yang Han noticed the serious look on Di Beichen's face, and understood that he really had something important to discuss with him. He immediately said, please come in. Let's talk inside. They walked into the mansion of the governor, and Yang Han sent someone to inform Yang Qinxue and Yang Lingfeng. After entering the courtyard, Di Beichen told Yang Han everything that had happened. Yang Han immediately understood. So, you came here to inform me to leave the mansion of the governor to lie low? Di Beichen nodded. Uncle Yang, my father also has the same plan. The enemy sent more than one master of the elementary celestial stage. Once we encounter them, the mansion of the governor will be destroyed. For safety's sake, it's better to leave first. Yang Han's expression was very complicated. He had stayed in the mansion of the governor for so many years, and had never left like this. Chapter 7405. How long will I be away? Young Han had mixed feelings. He kept thinking about the recent events in the city lord's mansion. Even if he had to leave, he had to at least deal with the matters at hand. Not too long, Bewitching said in a deep voice. We'll go to the celestial realm soon. According to our plan, we'll first deceive Qing Devil and the others. If we succeed, the crisis will be resolved. We'll inform you as soon as possible. Young Han also understood that he was no match for a few experts in the elementary celestial realm. In such a situation, he had no other choice. I understand, Young Han said. City Lord Young, I'm really sorry. Bewitching cupped his hands. His deep eyes were suffused with a faint cold light. He had not let down many people in his life, but because of Qing Devil and Xiao Sou, he had let down so many people. When he reached the celestial realm, he would not let these two people go. Young Han waved his hand. Young Master D, you've helped us a lot. This is nothing. You don't have to take it to heart. Everyone looked at Young Han with some doubts. Bewitching and the others had not done anything other than winning glory for Qingyang City in the Array Master competition. Young Han smiled. My biggest wish in this life is for Qin Xue and Lingfeng to break through to the elementary celestial realm. With their cultivation speed, although I've always had expectations, I understand that the chances are not high. If Miss Bailey had not cured Lingfeng and intentionally promoted them during their training, how could Lingfeng have broken through to the elementary celestial realm? My biggest wish has been realized. What's the big deal about leaving the city lord's mansion temporarily? Even if I'm not the city lord, I won't have any regrets. Lingfeng has broken through to the elementary celestial realm? Bailey Hongzhuang was delighted. This guy had been looking forward to breaking through as soon as possible. When he was with Fox and the others, young Lingfeng had collected a lot of fruits. It seemed that his cultivation talent was not bad. He had successfully broken through. Of course, I'm also a first-class genius. Young Lingfeng arrived late. When he heard Bailey Hongzhuang ask about him, he immediately answered proudly. Bailey Hongzhuang turned around and felt young Lingfeng's aura. As expected, he had broken through to the elementary celestial realm. Then I must congratulate you. Young Lingfeng smiled faintly. Compared to you guys, my speed is extremely slow. However, I know my limits. I'm already satisfied with my progress. Now he was no longer as confused as he was at the beginning. Before, he only felt that he had to constantly become stronger for the sake of his father's expectations. It was Bewitching who made him understand his own heart. What's the matter? Bailey Hongzhuang smiled. Are you about to break through? Young Qinxue lowered her head, a little embarrassed. My cultivation talent is not as good as Lingfeng's. Although I've been cultivating non-stop, I haven't broken through yet. It's only a matter of time. Bailey Hongzhuang comforted. She observed young Qinxue's aura. It was much stronger than when she had left. She thought that she would break through soon. Sister, you don't have to worry. Once Qingli breaks through, what are you afraid of? Young Lingfeng looked at Bai Qingli. Don't think that I don't know. Sister has given you a lot of fruits. If you don't treat my sister well in the future, I won't let you off. Bookmark for easier reading. Chapter 7406. Looking at young Lingfeng who looked like he was about to eat someone, Bai Qingli faintly smiled. His handsome face was tinged with gentleness. Don't worry, I will treat Qinxue well. He has always been a slow person when it comes to relationships. All these years, he has focused all his energy on cultivation. However, he knows that Qinxue has always wanted the best for him. Perhaps he didn't understand this in the past. But now he understands. Especially after seeing the relationship between Bewitching and Bailey Hongzhuang. He understands that cultivators don't just focus on cultivation. There should also be some changes in his path. Young Qinshua's cheeks blushed. Her beautiful eyes were filled with gratitude. She looked at Bai Qingli gently, her face full of joy. She has liked Bai Qingli for many years. All these years, she has never been confident in herself. As for the matchmaking between their parents, she has known for a long time. Although Bai Qingli has never rejected her, he has never expressed his love for her. Therefore she has always been worried. She carefully handled their relationship, afraid that something unexpected would happen and break the balance. She was also afraid that another woman would appear and steal Bai Qingli's heart. Luckily, none of these things happened. She could feel that Bai Qingli's attitude towards her has been changing. This brought her more joy than the improvement in her cultivation level. Lovers finally get married. This is what everyone wants to see. We will be going to the immortal region soon. I'm afraid we won't be able to attend your wedding. However, I still have to give you my blessings. Bewitching took out some devouring spirit stones and placed them on the table. I wish you both a long life together. Seeing the devouring spirit stones Bewitching took out, Bai Qingli and the others were stunned. After confirming that these were indeed devouring spirit stones, their expressions changed. They quickly said, Bewitching, we can't accept these. The devouring spirit stone is, without a doubt, a first-rate treasure to cultivators. There are many treasures that can increase one's cultivation level. However, treasures that can increase one's spiritual energy are very rare. The devouring spirit stone is one of them. In the immortal region of chaos, it is not easy to obtain a devouring spirit stone. You're welcome. Bewitching did not intend to take it back. You should know that it would be much easier to obtain the spirit devouring stone from the crossing immortal domain. Even so, we can't accept it. Yang Han spoke up. He knew that there were many spirit devouring ores in the crossing immortal domain, but it did not mean that the spirit devouring ores were easy to obtain. On the contrary, the situation in the crossing immortal realm was even worse than the chaotic immortal realm. It was definitely not easy to obtain the spirit devouring stone. This incident was caused by us, and we can't let it go. If you accept it, we'll feel better. That's right. Take it as a way to make us feel at ease. Just accept it. Yang Lingfeng looked at his father's conflicted expression and couldn't help but say, since Bewitching said so, just accept it. The spirit devouring stone is indeed very difficult for us. But for geniuses like them, it's probably not that difficult to obtain. Maybe after they make a trip to the immortal domain, they won't even be interested in the spirit devouring stone. Yang Han glanced at Yang Lingfeng. This kid, he really dares to say that. The spirit devouring stone could increase one's spiritual energy. Even in the immortal domain, it was still very useful. However, he also understood that for geniuses like Bewitching and the others, their means of accumulating wealth were not something they could compare to. Chapter 7407. Thank you very much. Bai Qingli cupped his hands. He knew that Bewitching was not a hypocritical person. Since he had taken out this thing, he had no intention of taking it back. If he refused again and again, it would make him seem pretentious. Bewitching and the others were relieved when they saw Bai Qingli's subordinates. Regardless of whether the other party really did not care, the Malakian fiend's matter had indeed affected them greatly. Even their wedding might have to be postponed for some time. If they did not do something to make up for it, they would not be able to live with themselves. Are you planning to go to the immortal region now? Yang Lingfeng had also learned about the situation. A trace of hesitation appeared in his eyes. He had also broken through to the elementary celestial stage. In fact, he had always wanted to go to the immortal region. However, looking at Bewitching and the others, he was afraid that they were going to do something important this time. Would he be a burden if he followed them? That's right. Bewitching nodded. Our original goal had always been the immortal region. However, our cultivation level was not high enough, so we have been staying in the realm of chaos. Although our cultivation level is still not high enough, this matter has forced us to set off immediately. I wonder if I can go with you? Yang Lingfeng asked after thinking about it for a while. After all, it was not safe for him to go to the immortal region alone. Moreover, he did not know enough about the situation in the immortal region. If he went alone, it was very likely that he would be killed halfway. At least it would be safer for him to go with them. Hearing this, Bewitching was not surprised. There is a high possibility that we will be targeted by the Qing Devil. You should know the Qing Devil's strength in the Qingpeng continent. You are in the realm of chaos. You are only slightly related to us, and he wants to kill you. If you go with us, you will not be able to get rid of the label once you are discovered. This is not a big deal. Yang Lingfeng waved his hand. Clearly, he did not take this matter to heart. I don't actually care about this. Regardless of whether I go or not, Azure Demon wants to kill me. Who knows, I might have a chance to kill him if I go. A cold light flashed in Yang Lingfeng's eyes. He hadn't said anything about this matter, but that didn't mean that he wasn't angry. The other party planned to bury their entire family, just because of a little bit of connection. If they really met, it would be a blood feud. You're ambitious, Xiren praised. If you want to go, we can go together. However, we don't know enough about the situation in the immortal realms. It's hard to say what will happen after we go. You have to be mentally prepared. Bailey Hongzhuang analyzed their current situation. Although the cultivator under their control seemed to be telling the truth, they weren't sure if he was telling the truth. The other party knew that they wouldn't kill him now, so it was inevitable that he would have other thoughts. He might even want to use this opportunity to cheat them. Therefore, there were too many uncertainties in the immortal realms. No one knew what would happen after they went there. I understand. Yang Lingfeng nodded slightly. No matter where they went, there would be danger. He felt that it would be safer to go with them. In his heart, Bewitching and Wuxia were like gods. No matter how bad the situation was, it would be much easier for them. Chapter 7409. The chaotic immortal realm is huge, right? However, compared to the celestial realm, the realm of chaotic immortal was much smaller. One continent in the immortal realm is as big as the entire chaotic immortal realm. As soon as these words came out, the faces of Bailey Hongzhuang and the others all changed, and there was a deep shock on their faces. One continent is as big as the entire chaotic immortal realm? Although they hadn't stayed in the chaotic immortal realm for long, and they hadn't been to many cities, they knew that the chaotic immortal realm was huge. The journey to the chaotic immortal realm was very long. They expected the immortal realm to be big, but they didn't expect it to be so much bigger than they thought. I heard that. Maybe it's more than that. Isn't it a little too big? Yang Lingfeng couldn't believe it. Is the chaotic immortal realm so different from the chaotic immortal realm? The lifespan of the experts in the immortal realm is much longer than the cultivators below the radiant sun stage. Think about it. The cultivators in the chaotic immortal realm haven't ascended yet, but the cultivators in the immortal realm have ascended successfully. The chaotic immortal realm is also huge. There are so many planes and so many experts. Even if the speed of ascension isn't fast, the number of people who have ascended after so many years is still very shocking. Yang Han sighed and shook his head. The immortal realm is much bigger than you think. The water is also much deeper. At this moment, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others didn't have any doubts. The chaotic immortal realm was huge, so they could imagine the situation. Moreover, with their current cultivation bases, they would be at the bottom if they went to the immortal realm. The gap between them and the chaotic immortal realm was too big. As the city lord of Qingyang City, I know a little more about the chaotic immortal realm. Look, the chaotic immortal realm is so big, and the cultivation resources are very abundant. However, the immortal realm doesn't have much control over the chaotic immortal realm, because they don't care about it. Don't care about it? Yang Lingfeng's lips twitched. He had always thought that the chaotic immortal realm was a good place. There were many powerful cultivators there. Although the cultivation resources were hard to come by, as the son of the city lord, he was treated much better than ordinary cultivators. Who would have thought that? Don't care about it. This was too heart-wrenching. Bewitching asked. City Lord Yang, we've always been curious. Does the city lord of the chaotic immortal realm have anything to do with the immortal realm? Yang Han nodded slightly and said, we do have some connections, but it's just a simple connection. We city lords are only responsible for preventing the chaotic immortal realm from falling into chaos. Other than that, there's no big deal. The immortal domain doesn't have too many restrictions on us. They just give us some resources every 20 years. These resources are very abundant in our eyes. But according to my understanding, these resources are really nothing to the cultivators of the immortal region. As he spoke, he looked at Yang Lingfeng again. This is also the reason why I've always hoped that Lingfeng and Qinxue would be able to break through to the elementary celestial stage. After they go to the celestial domain, the situation will be completely different. With enough cultivation resources, breakthroughs would be faster and lifespans would be longer. With the heaven and earth yuan qi of the celestial realm, as long as one didn't die and spent a little more effort, one's strength would also improve greatly. That's something the realm of chaotic immortal can't compare with. Everyone understood. With such a big gap, they naturally wouldn't stay in the chaotic immortal realm if they went to the immortal realm. Perhaps they couldn't feel it from the outside, but after they went in, they would understand how big the gap was. End of chapter. Chapter 74:10. There are 13 continents in the immortal realm. The major forces in the 9 continents are complicated and have existed for a long time. It's very difficult for newcomers to gain a foothold here. It's very difficult for them to develop well. Even if they are recruited by some forces, they can only do the most basic things. They don't have many cultivation resources, but they can do a lot of things. Therefore, most of the cultivators in the 9 continents are from the major forces. Although most of the cultivators in the immortal realm are in the elementary celestial realm, there are still some who haven't broken through. The children of the cultivators in the elementary celestial realm are also raised in the immortal realm. These children are different from ordinary people from the moment they are born. In the immortal realm, their cultivation speed is much faster than in the outside world. Not to mention they have countless resources to cultivate. Therefore, when you go to the chaotic immortal realm, if you meet such people, you must not underestimate them. No one knows what kind of patriarch is behind these young people. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded slightly. The parents of the children born in the immortal realm must be experts, especially in the 9 continents. Maybe a child who doesn't seem to be a threat has a huge force behind him. The Siam Pendulum continent, where the Qing Devil is from, is one of the 9 continents. The Siam Pendulum continent covers a large area. Naturally, the Qing Devil's family is not the only one. In fact, the foundation of the Qing Devil is much weaker than those long-established forces. Do you know that the Qing Devil has a master? You mean Qing Ling? Di Baichen raised his eyebrows. It seemed that Yang Han not only knew about the Qing Devil, but also Qing Ling. Yang Han nodded. Qing Ling is also a God-favored child. He became famous much earlier than the Qing Devil. When he was young, he went to the Siam Pendulum continent and killed his way out. In the Siam Pendulum continent, which was almost divided by the major forces, he established his own territory. At that time, the news gave many cultivators in the chaotic immortal realm hope. All the cultivators in the chaotic immortal realm wanted to go to the immortal realm. However, those who had been there knew that it was not easy to establish a foothold there without a certain background. Back then, I went to the other 4 continents and made a name for myself before I went to the Azure continent. Yang Han paused for a moment before continuing. Actually, I've also heard some inside information. The reason why Qing Ling was able to proceed so smoothly back then was because of the help of an expert from the Devouring Pavilion. At that time, the younger sister of that expert married Qing Ling. However, I haven't heard anything about it since then. City Lord Yang, you even know about this? Bailey Hongzhuang was in disbelief. Have you been to the immortal domain? It's just that I'm very interested in these things, so I asked around a lot. Yang Han chuckled. His eyes were a little empty, as if he was thinking about the past. I used to have great ambitions. I wanted to make a name for myself in the celestial realm. Unfortunately, I'm still in the realm of chaos. The reason why I know so much is that my status as the city lord has brought me a lot of benefits. I know more information than the others in the chaotic immortal realm. As for the Qing Devil, he's also very capable. However, he's still not as good as Qing Ling. If he didn't have Qing Ling as his master, he wouldn't have been able to progress so smoothly. However, this is also his opportunity. Chapter 74:11. I'm telling you this because I want to remind you not only to be careful of Qing Devil, but also Qing Ling. If you're careless, you'll be in danger. Yang Han looked serious. In his opinion, Even though Bewitching and the others were all geniuses, they were still far from being able to compete with Qing Devil. It would be worse if they underestimated Qing Ling. He wanted to remind them, so that they would know what to do. At least, they shouldn't make a move before they had a certain amount of confidence. Don't worry, Governor Yang. We cherish our lives. Although we're worried about Qing Devil, we won't act rashly before we have a certain amount of confidence. Bewitching understood Yang Han's intention. That's good. Father, you mentioned the 9 provinces. What about the other 4 provinces? Yang Lingfeng asked. Are the other 4 provinces different from the 9 provinces? That's right. Yang Han nodded. The other 4 provinces are different from the 9 provinces. Usually, cultivators in the realm of chaotic immortals will choose to go to these 4 provinces after they break through, because the 4 provinces are mainly inhabited by schools and sections. You should know that schools and sects are mainly used to nurture cultivators. When cultivators can be independent, they will consider going to the other 9 provinces. I suggest that you go to these 4 provinces first. They are the Yunyang continent, the Wanli continent, the Hualien continent, and the Tianqing continent. These 4 provinces are safer than the other 9 provinces, but that's only relative. Don't be careless because of that. The realm of chaotic immortals is much more dangerous than the realm of chaotic immortals. Which province does the abandoned immortal forest correspond to? Bailey Hongzhuang asked. The abandoned immortal forest corresponds to, let me think. It should be the Tianqing continent, Yang Han said thoughtfully. Bailey Hongzhuang narrowed her eyes. Just as she expected. When she was in the abandoned immortal forest, she saw sections. Now that she thought about it, she was lucky that she didn't encounter the 9 provinces. Otherwise, the situation would be much more complicated. There are many schools and sects in the Tianqing continent, but not everyone can join them. Those who were able to cultivate to the initial celestial realm were practically all geniuses. However, only after going there would one realize the disparity between geniuses. Many people don't even have the qualifications to join. I've only heard of some things, but I don't know much about it. You have to be mentally prepared. As he spoke, Yang Han looked at Yang Lingfeng. Don't be discouraged just because others are so much stronger. Yang Lingfeng's face darkened. Father, am I such a person in your heart? Yang Qinxue couldn't help but laugh. That's the kind of person you are. Yang Han did not explain. He only said seriously, a martial artist's heart should also be strong enough. Yang Lingfeng. She didn't even want to explain. What I know is what I know in the past. As for more information, you should understand it after you go to the immortal region. Yang Han spoke slowly, then looked at Bewitching and the rest. When you go out, you have to be more careful. Some words may not be true. Seeing that Yang Lingfeng really treated them as his juniors, and was seriously warning them, Bewitching also bowed. Thank you, Uncle Yang, for your guidance. Yang Han's gaze became even more benevolent. I don't know when I'll return from this trip. I only hope that you'll all be safe. Father, don't worry. Once I've settled down, I'll frequently send news back. Chapter 74:12. Yang Han smiled faintly. He knew that it would not be easy to settle down in the immortal realm. It would be even more difficult to spread the news. The immortal realm was too vast. It would take a long time to go back and forth, unless one made a fortune there, and could send someone to spread the news. He knew his son very well. He had always believed in Yang Lingfeng's strength. However, it was never easy to show off in a place where geniuses gathered. He believed that as long as he could live safely, it would be much better than staying in the realm of chaotic immortal. When the time comes, I will bring all of you over, Yang Lingfeng said with a smile. Okay. Yang Han nodded with a smile. Then I will wait for your good news. After Yang Han's introduction, everyone had a general understanding of the immortal realm. They also had a certain direction in their hearts. Obviously, the 9 continents were not suitable for them. The 4 continents were their only choice. However, they still had to think about which continent to go to. In my opinion, we should go to the Qing Peng continent first, and fool them about the Qing Devil. After making sure that the city lord and the others are not in danger, we will set off to the other continents. What do you think? Bailey Hongzhuang looked at everyone. I am afraid it will take a lot of time to go back and forth. However, we have no other choice. They could go to the 4 continents directly. However, they would not be at ease if they did not solve the problem. It will just take some time. It is no big deal. Zhong Limu waved his hand. Coincidentally, there are many things that we do not know about the immortal realm. We can learn more about it on the way. Mo Yunjue agreed. Maybe we will have some unexpected gains on the way. Everyone nodded in agreement. The path of cultivation had always been unpredictable, and anything could happen. In the evening, everyone saw Gong Jun, who had just returned. Xiren looked at Gong Jun's disappointed face and could not help but shake his head. See, I told him to be mentally prepared. Gong Jun, are you okay? Shangguan Yingying asked carefully. Wah. Gong Jun's face fell instantly. He looked heartbroken. Those guys are too inhumane. Not only did they smash my immortal treasure pavilion, but they also stole everything in my shop. This is a blood feud. Yang Lingfeng and the others had seen Gong Jun before. At this moment, when they saw him looking as if his parents had died, they were a little panicked and didn't know how to comfort him. However, after hearing the latter part of his words, they were suddenly speechless. Boss, you have to take revenge for me. These guys are simply beasts. Gong Jun said with tears and snot running down his face. When the time comes, I'll make them pay you back double. Okay. Gong Jun nodded. This time, I really lost a lot. It wasn't easy for me to open the Immortal Treasure Pavilion to such a large scale, and I almost snatched all the business in Shiyun City. Now it's all gone. Fortunately, I saw that everyone in the city was sad about this matter, so I felt much better. Speaking of this, he showed a gratified expression. The fact that a shop could be opened to such a degree was a great comfort to him. It is obvious that you are lying. I think the shopkeeper of the Immortal Treasure Pavilion must be very happy, right? Xiren said. Gong Jun glared at him. That guy was indeed very happy. However, when he heard what I said, he became unhappy. Chapter 74:13. What did you say? When Xiren asked curiously, I said that I don't care about the shops in the chaotic immortal realm anymore. I plan to open a shop in the immortal realm. Bewitching, everyone. When Xiren, he believed you? Of course. I showed him my aura, haha. Gong Jun had a smug expression. That guy has no hope of entering the immortal realm. When the time comes, I'll be like a fish in water in the immortal realm. Who the hell is he? He's just a passerby in my life. Hearing this, everyone sighed. What he said made so much sense that they couldn't refute it. Maybe when the time comes, the entire Myriad Treasures Pavilion will be mine. He'll become my subordinate. Gong Jun said proudly. It was as if he had already set up his beautiful life in the immortal realm. Gong Jun, I always thought that my imagination was quite rich. I didn't think that you'd be even more awesome than me. Gong Jun glanced at Xiren. He was a little confused. Was this guy praising him or scolding him? Of course. You have to have courage. If you don't have courage, how can you be successful? Don't think that what I'm saying now is unrealistic. Who would have thought that the Immortal Treasure Pavilion could defeat the Myriad Treasures Pavilion branch in the immortal realm? Anything is possible. Gong Jun patted Wen Xiren's chest with a look that said, Brother, you still have much to learn in this field. It's rare that I find you pleasing to the eye today. Let me tell you. Gong Jun lowered his voice. Do you know why you can't compare to Boss and the others? When Xiren was slightly taken aback. You know? Of course I know. Gong Jun raised his eyebrows. Look at this group of people. Are you the only one who thinks that you can't compare to them? Xiren fell silent. Although he didn't say this out loud, that was indeed what he thought in his heart. Isn't that enough? If you think you can't compare to them, then you definitely can't compare to them. Look at the others. They all know how strong Boss's talent is. Has he ever admitted defeat to them? It's because I didn't recognize it that I was able to improve so much. If I had recognized it from the beginning, would I still be here? Gong Jun looked at Xiren. Look at you. This is the biggest problem. When Xiren was stunned, what Gong Jun said did seem to make some sense. Back then, he had cultivated with Bei Chun with the intention of competing with him. His cultivation level had not fallen behind by much. However, ever since he realized where the gap was, his cultivation level had fallen behind. Could it be that this was the source of the problem? Bailey Hongzhuang and the others also had strange expressions on their faces. Although Gong Jun had lowered his voice, everyone present had sharp ears and eyes, so they heard his words clearly. Even an idiot would know that Gong Jun was tricking Xiren. Looking at Xiren's expression, it seemed like he believed it. Zhongli Mu's lips twitched. Brother Wen, how big of a blow did you suffer recently? Everyone. When Xiren thought about it and felt that something was wrong. What about you? Haven't you always been hugging Beichen's thigh? Gong Jun looked at him with disdain. We're different. I'm a genius. Damn. You're really shameless. When Xiren also understood that this guy was just teasing him. Luckily I'm smart. Otherwise, I would have fallen for it. As he said that, he turned his gaze back. Only then did he notice that everyone was looking at him strangely. Why are you all looking at me like that? Chapter 74:14. After everyone had made all the necessary preparations, they embarked on the journey to the immortal domain. At the same time, they learned the name of the cultivator, Wang Chongyan. Actually, you don't have to go through so much trouble. I just need to go back and tell the Qing devil that everything has been solved. Why do I find it so hard to believe your words? Xiren sneered. It's true. The man emphasized. In fact, those people and I just formed a temporary team. We don't have a deep friendship. It doesn't matter if they die. I can go back and report this news. I can even take all the rewards. However, no matter what Wang Chongyan said, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others ignored him. This guy must be saying this now. But with the power of the Qing devil, he didn't have to take the risk of lying when he went back. He could just tell them the truth. Therefore, they wouldn't believe him at all. Seeing that the others were unmoved, Wang Chongyan was a little annoyed. If I really want to tell them, I can also tell them when the time comes. When the time comes, we will go with you. If you tell us, we will drag you down with us. Di Beichen's eyes darkened, and his handsome face showed a touch of sternness. Don't blame me for not reminding you. If we fail, you won't be able to get away with it. From this incident, you can already see the character of the Qing devil. He won't let you go just because you brought us there. What's more, if we all die, your poison will never be cured. If you don't believe me, you can try it when you go back. Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes were full of confidence. The man's strength was not strong at all in the immortal realm. From the fact that he accepted this mission, it could be seen that he was at the bottom of the list. Even if the force he was in really had a way to cure the poison, the medicinal materials needed to cure the poison were not cheap. The other party might not spend so much effort on him. The man fell into silence. Countless thoughts flashed through his mind. He also knew that Di Beichen and the others were telling the truth. However, once the truth came out, he would be finished. Everyone ignored the man. As long as he wasn't an idiot, he would know what to choose. If we want to go to the celestial region, we have to go through a test to confirm that we have indeed reached the elementary celestial stage before we can enter, Yang Lingfeng said. His father had already told him about this matter. After passing through this transfer array, we will be able to reach the entrance of the immortal domain. It's really convenient to have a teleportation formation. Otherwise, it would take a lot of time to get to the nearest intersection in the western regions. Gong Jun was obviously very happy. I've long wanted to see what the celestial realm is like. Right, Gong Jun has yet to break through to the elementary celestial stage. Can he go to the celestial region? Yi Sun asked. My father said that it's not possible under normal circumstances, but this guy is from Boizhou. With the token we can still follow him in. However, in this way, Gong Jun won't have an identity card. In the future, he will still need to pass an examination. It's better for us to get an identity card directly. Everyone nodded slightly. Fortunately, they still had this fellow with them. By the way, aren't Xiren and the others going this time? Yang Lingfeng couldn't help but ask. They're not going. Their cultivation hasn't reached the boundary of a breakthrough. It will be very dangerous if they go in. That's really a pity. It'll be more lively if everyone goes together. Yang Lingfeng looked regretful. It's no problem. When they break through, they will naturally come to find us, Bailey Hongzhuang said with a faint smile. Chapter 74:15. Near Celestial Sect. Bailey Hongzhuang and the others looked at the magnificent gate in front of them, and their eyes flashed with a complicated color. When we were captured and brought to this place, we couldn't pass through this door openly. I can't believe we can go in now. Zhong Limu sighed. During this period of time, his improvement was much faster than when he was in the abandoned immortal forest. This is just the minimum standard. The next time we come out, we will be much stronger than now, Mo Yunjie said. Zhong Limu nodded. He believed that. They had improved so much in 2 years. If they stayed in the celestial realm for a while, their strength would definitely improve. Stop. When the group reached the gate, the man guarding the gate stopped them. Identity card. Wang Chongyan took out his identity card. When the guard saw the totem on it, a hint of surprise appeared in his eyes. He said, "Please come in." Gong Jun had been following closely at Wang Chongyan's side. When he saw Wang Chongyan enter, he also followed. Fortunately, no one stopped him. "What about you?" "Brother, we just broke through to the beginner immortal realm," Di Beichen said. Hearing that, the guard looked at Di Beichen without any change in his expression. "If you are not a member of the force, you can't bring others in." "I understand. You understand." The guard frowned and looked at the large group of people in front of him with a strange expression. "We are all in the beginner immortal realm," Yang Lingfeng said. The two guards were stunned. It was not easy to break through to the beginner immortal realm in the chaotic celestial realm. Usually, they might not even see one person in half a month. There were 8 people in front of them, and all of them had broken through to the beginner immortal realm? Since when was it so easy to break through to the beginner immortal realm? Beginner immortal realm cultivators have to take a test when entering the celestial realm for the first time. At the same time, leave your identity information. Go to the house over there. The guard pointed to a place not far away. In the end, he couldn't help but remind them. This test requires the payment of blood spiritual stones. If your cultivation is not enough, I advise you not to try. Thank you for your reminder, big brother. We understand. Di Beichen cupped his hands and smiled. When the man saw that they didn't seem to have changed their minds, he immediately shook his head. Every year, there would always be a few people who wanted to bluff their way through. But how could the Immortal Domains examination be so easy to bluff their way through? The 8 of us taking the test at the same time is indeed a little too eye-catching, Yi Sun said. That guard clearly doesn't trust us. So what? Yang Lingfeng laughed heartily. When the results are out, he'll have to believe it even if he doesn't want to. The test wasn't complicated. One only needed to display one's cultivation base and be judged by the device. The person in charge of the assessment was originally dozing off. When he suddenly saw a large group of people enter, he was somewhat unable to react. After learning that everyone was going to take the assessment, he was even more astonished. However, when he confirmed that all of them were in the elementary celestial stage, his expression became extremely strange. Could it be that the few of you are the disciples of some big family who came out to train? The man lowered his voice and said mysteriously, I've heard before that some forces would send their disciples to the chaotic celestial realm to train. They would only return after breaking through to the beginner immortal realm. I believe the few of you should be one of them, right? Di Beichen was just about to deny it when he heard the man say, Don't worry, I won't tell anyone about this. Chapter 74:16. May I know which continent you're from? I understand. It's only right that you don't tell me. Everyone felt a little helpless as they watched the man come up with a series of scenarios in his mind. Actually, it wasn't like that at all. However, they didn't bother to explain. This guy had obviously assumed everything. Even if they tried to explain, it would be useless. They might as well just stay silent. After all, they might not see this person again in the future. Seeing that everyone was silent, the man took it as a tacit agreement. His attitude immediately became more attentive, and even the speed of the examination became faster. When the guard saw that the man had personally escorted the 8 people over, his eyes were filled with shock. "Steward, what are you doing? Quickly take care of these young masters and young ladies." The steward was all smiles. "Do you need my help?" Yang Lingfeng looked at the unusually friendly steward and couldn't help but ask, "Can you lend me some blood spirit stones? How about we don't charge for this assessment?" Before he left, his father had given him a lot of blood spirit stones, but just now, he had spent 10 blood spirit stones. One had to know that blood spirit stones were not ordinary spirit stones. Even his father, the city lord, didn't have many blood spirit stones. Now he had spent 10 high-grade blood spirit stones just to apply for an identity card. This was daylight robbery. As soon as these words came out, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others looked at Yang Lingfeng strangely. Could it be that this guy had directly said what he was thinking? "No need, thank you." Bewitching cupped his hands and didn't look embarrassed at all. It was as if Yang Lingfeng hadn't said anything at all. The guard looked at everyone in disbelief. He had been waiting for these people to come out and laugh at him. But he didn't expect it to be true. He couldn't help but be shocked. Could it be that these people had experienced some kind of mystic realm, so they all broke through? The steward also reacted and hurriedly said, "Where are the blood spirit stones? Quickly hand them over." "They're all here." The guard didn't dare to delay, even though he didn't understand what was wrong with the steward, who always regarded wealth as his life today. "Young Master D, these fellows are new and don't know any better. Here are your blood spirit stones," the manager said with a smile. Yang Lingfeng was dumbfounded. He was just joking. He didn't think that there was such a possibility. But now, the other party had directly delivered the blood spirit stone to him. What was going on? "You're too polite. This is what we should pay." No. The steward waved his hand. "Ordinary people naturally have to pay. But how can you all be ordinary? It's my honor to be able to assess you all." Bewitching originally wanted to exchange a few pleasantries, but he didn't expect the other party to be so determined to return the blood spirit stone to him. This rejection hurt their relationship even more, so he simply accepted it. "Thank you very much. It's my duty. Young Master D, you don't have to be so polite." The steward's face was full of smiles, as if Bewitching's acceptance of the blood spirit stone was something worth celebrating. Then, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others officially stepped into the celestial region under the steward's warm escort. When the figures disappeared, the guard couldn't help but ask, "Steward, what's going on?" Even if they broke through to the elementary celestial stage, you don't have to be so polite, right? What do you know? The smile on the man's face disappeared. How can there be so many elementary celestials? Also, I observed that a few of them are very young. They're definitely not more than 50 years old. Some are even in their 20s or 30s. Chapter 74-17. Less than 50 years old? The guard was stunned. A novice celestial in his 20s or 30s. It's not easy for such a talent to appear. Moreover, it's in such a large group. Who else can do it except for those factions? The guard was shocked. With such talent, he was like a dragon or phoenix among men. There were many differences between novice celestials. A 20-year-old novice celestial and a 100-year-old novice celestial couldn't be compared at all. Moreover, in the realm of chaos, there were many people who hadn't broken through at the age of a few hundred. You should be more observant in the future. Although such a genius might not have any interaction with us, it's still good to leave a good impression. Thank you for your advice. I understand. The guard looked enlightened. Bailey Hongzhuang and the others looked at the blood spirit stones in their hands with strange expressions. What's going on? Does that guy really think we're from a big faction? He doesn't even want blood spirit stones? Yang Lingfeng couldn't believe it. Even if the blood spirit stones in his hands were real, why did he feel like he was dreaming? 8 people. That would be 80 blood spirit stones. That was not a small sum. I feel like we've found a way to make money. I wonder if people in other places are so easy to trick? Gong Jun looked excited. When he found out about the price, He had been cursing these guys for being greedy. He hadn't expected such a reversal. Anyway, it won't matter if we pretend. I think we should just pretend to be from a big faction. It'll save us a lot of trouble. Yang Lingfeng agreed. He didn't have as many blood spirit stones as Wei Chengqing and the others. If they came from a small family, they might be poor before they reached Qingpeng continent. It would be best if they could save some blood spirit stones. Wang Chongyan was speechless when he saw that everyone seemed to be taking this matter to heart. Is this something you can pretend to be? If you don't have the ability and confidence, you can't pretend. Do you think everyone is as stupid as that guard? Wang Chongyan, what powerful factions do you have? Why don't you introduce them to us? We'll have to lie and say we have a partner. Gong Jun asked. Wang Chongyan thought about it seriously. If it's the Azure Pendant continent, you can lie and say that you are from the Zheng clan. The Zheng clan is not weak in the Green Canopy continent, and their disciples have the habit of going out to gain experience. The Zheng family, right? Gong Jun smiled. That's right. From now on, we are members of the Zheng family. I have to remind you that the Zheng clan is a large clan. There are many of them here, and it's common for you to be unable to match up. However, this disguise, the slightest bit of carelessness will lead to it being discovered. The mental powers of incipient celestial stage cultivators are extremely sensitive. Even the slightest fluctuation will lead to it being discovered. When that happens, the situation will be even worse. Don't worry, we know what we're doing. We definitely won't be discovered. Gong Jun looked confident. As long as we can save money, this little risk is nothing. Wang Chongyan's lips twitched. The cost of blood spirit stones was indeed not small, but to pretend to be a member of the Zheng clan just to save money, these people's thoughts were truly strange. If the Zheng clan knew about this, what would they think? After entering the near celestial sect, Master had thought that he would see a bustling city. However, the situation was completely different from what he had expected. There was no bustling city ahead, only some eye-catching teleportation arrays. This teleportation array was extremely large, much larger than any teleportation arrays they had seen before. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.